recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I too agree with my friend from California. Mr. Serrano was right. This is something we need to do. And I'll probably catch some flack for it later from him, but I have to say Mr. Aguilar is correct. We ought to do something to honor the Latino community that has made our country the greatest country in the history of the world. I rise today to support the underlying legislation that would create the first Smithsonian Museum honoring Latinos. Again, our country would not be what it is today without their contributions. More than 18% of our population is Latino. 16% of the men and women serving in our military heroically are Latino. You don't have to look too far to see their contribution to the brave men and women in our police forces throughout this nation. Also, every essential workforce that we see in America today is populated with hard-working American Latinos. And I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention, of course, a third of Major League Baseball players are Latino. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to see who would win the congressional baseball game this year. I think it was our year. I truly do. And I do certainly miss being able to jaw with my good friend Mr. Aguilar and Mr. Cardenas while they came up to the plate while I was playing catcher in that game. And I will tell you, the Latino contribution to the congressional baseball team has led to many more victories than I would have liked, because I would like to win again this year. But earlier this year, the House Administration Committee had a hearing on the possibility of creating this museum to specifically honor Latinos. This was an important step that hasn't been done on other issues that we've faced in this Congress, because hearings give us an opportunity to ask important questions about the complexities of creating a world-class museum. And I am, again, glad Chairperson Lofgren led the effort in getting this done. At the hearing, we discussed the Smithsonian's current struggles in handling the maintenance of their numerous facilities. In fact, Chairperson Lofgren and I sent a letter last fall to appropriators asking for robust funding to address the Smithsonian's current maintenance and repair needs, which have now reached nearly $1 billion. The lack of upkeep has led to damaged collections and building closures. It's concerning to me to hear how much the Smithsonian is struggling to take care of their current facilities, not to mention the possibility of creating new ones. This brings me to another concern. It's the cost of a new museum. The most recent Smithsonian Museum constructed, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, truly a work of art and history, cost $555 million. That was nearly $200 million more than the Commission estimated. Given the current billion-dollar backlog, costs are always important to consider, particularly as we envision what museums will look like in a post-pandemic America. I bring these costs up not to say this is an impossible task ahead of us. It's to make sure that we learn from the mistakes of the previous cultural giants like the last museum that was built. As we look to further recognize the contributions of Latinos, we need to be realistic about the current restraints of the Smithsonian. Additionally, I'm glad this legislation includes a provision requiring all political viewpoints to be represented, because I believe it's important we respect our diversity in all cultures throughout the Smithsonian. No Smithsonian, no museum in America should put a political litmus test on what Americans get to learn from them. This is what makes our country great. I hope the Smithsonian Institute takes my concerns seriously as this great initiative moves forward, and I'll reserve.